everyone. Welcome to the Daily AI Show. I am Beth Lyons, and with me in the studio today is Andy Halliday. It is October 7th, 2025. It is Tuesday. I gave the number wrong yesterday. If you saw yesterday's episode, I think I said it was 576. It was 566. Today's episode 567. Here we go. And if you're a regular or just new to us, welcome. We're so excited to see you. And we're going to start off with our news section. We've got a little bit of a new format. And Andy, what like the biggest news that happened was Dev Day. We went live. We talked to Karl and I talked a little bit about afterwards, but I'm curious what your takeaway from Dev Day was, Andy.
Well, my takeaway was that while I expected that the new agent kit would be, of course, launched in effect by Sam Altman and was would be in broad distribution, it seems that this is really an enterprise-focused application suite for ChatGPT. And so I don't think we're going to see, as just typical non-enterprise users, we're not going to see that tool, available in our ChatGPT anytime soon. Although eventually that same kind of workflow generation with all the incredible capabilities that they built around it, including evaluation and actually reinforcement, fine-tuning training, which is a key to getting any kind of reliability out of any kind of LLM systems. You need to give it something that has objective outcomes that can be evaluated or tested, and then allow the inherent self-improving capabilities of these new reasoning models to apply to get to a really finely tuned result that is highly reliable and gives you accurate results. So that was a key component of it that was a part of the announcement. I wasn't able to join your live, and I didn't see it. Beth, give me a recap, if you would, quickly of what was the real aha or takeaway from the live presentation by Sam Altman.
So one of the takeaways was that it was a much cleaner presentation. Like we've seen Dev Day presentations and recent not Dev Day presentations where it just seems like they're very last minute. We're not entirely sure what's happening. This was like well-oiled machine. The other thing is that in the presentations they have tried to demo things live that then didn't quite work. So the tech is, I think that they were more prepared, but also the tech is reliable enough. There was a demo where one of the engineers built something with an 8-minute countdown clock. Obviously that had been practiced many times, but that was impressive. And what they built was a widget that went live on the Dev Day website. And that was, I believe, using one of the kits, the chat kit, which is part of the overall agent kit that came out. Agent kit contained Agent Builder, Chat Kit, and one other that I'm not seeing right here. But they Codex is now an AI coworker. You can call Codex at Codex from within Slack, right? That would in the widget that she demoed. That was also something that where she didn't demo the eval, but that was in that process too, because you could see that there were different tests that she could run. Apps, the apps SDK. So that was very exciting as part of the demo, which was that apps now live inside ChatGPT. You can call Canva, you can call Spotify. And so there are some specific apps that are part of that. And That has been the complaint that I see people talking about afterwards. So the apps SDK wasn't immediately obvious where you could find it. Karl looked for it a bunch. And it's a little more complicated, I think, than was shown.
Yeah,
Same with the
let me
agent kit.
comment quickly on that one. I thought that was important in the releases yesterday as well. The idea of having applications that aren't being that are being consulted or called as a tool in the context of a chat with the AI assistant from OpenAI kind of sets aside the premise that we always had that, okay, OpenAI is going to build more and more capabilities into their, closed proprietary ecosystem, and it'll be ChatGPT 5 that's going to be doing these actions for you and calling on external tools atomically, as necessary in order to get the job done. But what happened with the apps release was suddenly you can kind of branch off to invite with coordination by ChatGPT, but you can branch off to booking.com to actually go through the transactional process to actually put a booking together on booking.com. So similarly, you can use Expedia, for example. So travel arrangements seems to be a big focus of the apps that OpenAI worked with partners with to make available today.
Yes.
And the short list is basically Booking and Expedia for those kinds of sort of transactions, the travel and lodging kind of transactions. Then you've got Figma and Canva in the space of design and graphic design. And then you've got Spotify for music, and you've got Zillow for real estate. But that's the list right there. Coursera, you can take educational courses. I guess they get implanted somewhere in there if that's what Coursera does. So then the apps SDK that we can't find is really what you can use to build an app like for the App Store of ChatGPT. And I don't know what the business model for that is and how much OpenAI is going to take from the revenue that an inbuilt app is going to provide. But it's like not MCP, but it's related to MCP in the sense that both MCP and the apps SDK allow external parties to mount a feature server out there, and Booking.com or Expedia already have those, that infrastructure in place to provide that, and make that an inbuilt app that you can call on right in the chat thread.
Nice. So yes, there's also a Zillow thing. The plan, the monetization plan, was we will monetize. So actually, it's pretty similar to the monetization plan that was that was put out for plugins and custom GPTs, which were their previous attempts at an app store. But this seems to be getting a little bit closer. Karl, did you ever find Apps SDK?
Yes. Well, what do you mean? I found the.
We were looking for it.
Oh yeah, it's under settings. It's under it. They kind of changed apps and connectors. So once you go into your settings, you go into apps and connectors. What I find interesting is what would be the difference between an app and a connector. I was trying to figure that out because I was like, oh, there's a whole bunch of apps. Actually, hey, you know what? Let's show it because I always get confused by this, and I think it's I think it's an important distinction just to show like what we mean. Okay, hold on. What's up?
While you're getting that ready, I'll just say in my own mind, borrowing from this idea that it's like an MCP, it's got connection and it's got interaction capabilities for the agentic LLM that's working for you in ChatGPT 5. The distinction is that there's already a higher degree of integration that's been provided or afforded through the apps SDK, so that without actually just calling for data or a functionality with an external MCP connection, it's got all of the UI niceties built right into the chat thread, and you don't, like, if you use the MCP connection, you probably wouldn't see anything represented to you. But in the example that was shown online, a booking.com thing actually brings up in the chat thread, brings up the images of the locations that you might be booking. And so they're importing a lot more information in the apps SDK from the partner than an MCP call would.
Yeah, I get that. It's just, I think, sorry, I was looking at it more again from like, why would a business, or why would as a business I would put this on here? And maybe I'm thinking about it differently. So first of all, like, yeah, there's apps and connectors. So you have your apps, then you have your connectors, which I don't even have Zillow because we don't have Zillow in Canada. So nothing there. But what's interesting, which gets a little crazy, right? Because you have Notion, which it tells you what you can do with it. You can chat against it, deep reaches agent mode. Some you can only deep research in agent mode. So you can't chat against your Outlook email, but you can chat against SharePoint, and you can enable the sync. Same thing with Dropbox and with Canva. So Canva, I have a connector, but I also have the app, right? So I can chat against it. I can deep research against it. And what I was doing yesterday, so here I was playing with Canva, and then I was asking it to develop like, oh, how many calories do you burn on a mountain bike ride? I'm like, oh, it's interesting. And then it gave me this, and then I wanted to do a video. It's like, oh, but I think I can only download it through Canva, so I couldn't watch it in this, because I don't think so. I saw them play a video on it using, I forgot what tool it was. Was it Booking or was it Expedia? I'm not sure. But then I don't know, but I don't think Canva wise you can bring something in the platform and play it there. So that's what I was trying to do. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, by the way, short little tidbit I found on Tibor and Testing Studio yesterday was that you can drag and drop videos into your iOS ChatGPT, like straight up drag and drop, ask it to transcribe it, and ask it to describe the video. I didn't know you could do that. I thought that was interesting.
Wow, no.
Okay, well, I thought everyone knew that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you could do that, but you should try it with the app, with the mobile app. I don't know if you can do it on desktop, but yeah, so there's that little tidbit. But anyway, so yeah, you just that was it. The only two that I could see is I only use is Canva and Spotify. So that's I'm not. I think the big question here is, you obviously ChatGPT wants you to stay on platform. Other companies want you to stay on want you to go to their platform. But then it's like there's some use cases where I think it's use case by use case and app by app, because there's some places like Canva. Do I really want to use it in ChatGPT? And if I was a creative, wouldn't I want to go into the Canva platform to do even more things with it, right? Because like with an ad, with like an image like this, I want to be able to switch to move this around. I want to like, oh, let's move this here. Let's, I can't do that here, right? So I'm just asking an AI to build it for me. And I was like, oh, okay, that didn't really want to do that. With Spotify, maybe, I'm not sure. And so that'll be the question is which apps would be better in platform? Like, for example, the old business, SaaS company I used to work for, Benevity, I think they should build an apps, because in ChatGPT, wouldn't it be cool to be able to donate? I think that would be a smart use of that. Instead of having to go to a different platform, it makes it easier to donate whenever in here. But for something like Canva, maybe not. I think there are some tools like Google Suite, specifically, let's say Google Analytics, Google Ads. That'd be neat to have it directly in here, because then you can do all your ad buying, all your analytics in platform, rather than having to go to that platform. But I don't know. What do you two think? Like, I feel there's some that would work, some that you're just putting it on for the sake of putting it on.
Well, I think that's what we found with the original plugins, right? There were some that were great. You did something, saved me a couple clicks, had more knowledge than I did about whatever the thing was. And then there were others that the like, why am I not just going to that website and having like a beautiful presentation, right? Like beautiful AI, not that the presentation was necessarily beautiful. Those kinds of things. So I think I expect that will play out with this. Okay, so there is here we go. In the chat, Karl, will you say what you said again? I believe about dragging your video in on the iOS app, because it went by quickly and people are very excited to know what you said.
So I have I tried this yesterday. So you can drag and drop your video, into your ChatGPT iOS app, and you can get audio transcriptions. And then you can also get, I think you can get the description. So I'm going to post this in here. And then
Nice.
there's the link to it. So I tried the transcription with a 10-second video. Cool. Haven't tried to describe it. It was just a talking head.
You think it's doing a new audio transcription, not just importing the transcript that already exists in a YouTube?
Oh, but
it's not a YouTube. It's a straight up drag and drop your video into.
Oh, any video. Okay.
So
yeah, link. It's straight up drag and drop the.
This is exciting. I'm going to try this a little later today, because one of the ways that it's hard to capture large X posts and then some of the responses. So I often do a screen recording as I'm scrolling it. And then I have been using Gemini to like go in and transcribe that, but it will be very cool if that is faster. To be able to do it this way. Okay, so we are at 20 minutes after. We're gonna switch, but we only talked about one news story. Did anybody bring a news story that they felt like really needed to get done today other than Dev Day?
Yeah, just a big deal for Anthropic. They've now signed a deal with Deloitte. And they're rolling out Anthropic Claude to more than 470,000 employees across 150 countries. And that's Anthropic's largest deployment yet.
Wow. Congratulations to Anthropic. And interesting that was the company of choice.
Yeah.
All right.
What's interesting about that is, remember we talked about yesterday the whole snafu with Deloitte and how they kind of had to pay back, I forgot, the Albanese government $440,000 because there was a screw up in the report, or someone wasn't checking. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. It was partially completely hallucinated report. Yeah. So definitely releasing good news after that. Right? Like, hey, let's change the conversation.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So, Carl, you did you bring a
Yeah,
hot topic
I
for
did.
us to
I did.
banter about?
It wasn't really a hot topic. It was more a, this is what we're like, this is I kind of what I'm sort of, you kind of start seeing this in the business space. So I feel there's like the progress in AI is moving at such a ridiculous speed that some of it's harder to deploy. So I'll give you, I don't know if I've talked about this example before where one of our prospect, now a client, when we were doing discovery with them, one of the tasks this person had to do was, there's about every, I think, couple weeks, every month, actually no, every week, sorry, not every couple weeks, she has to go into a folder with hundreds of subfolders, and the that task was to check every folder to see if a file was in there. That's the entire, and if there wasn't, she had to do a bunch of notifications, because and how that file got in there is another set of workflows in its own right. So that's a ridiculous task, right? You're like, wait a second, why would anyone do that? And this is for like a pretty like global, well, at least a North American huge company. And we're like, oh, so there's a couple ways you can probably solve that. One would be like a Windows script to run it. Or I thought, because not only do you look at that and see if it's there or not, if it's not, there's another set of workflows that, or another set of activities she has to do, email, Teams, whatever that is. So one of the thoughts, like one of the easiest things you can do, immediately popped to my mind was, oh, why don't you just go to Claude Code, either install in your terminal or put it into your cursor, connect a folder to it, which is the main folder subfolder, and just either create an agent or ask Claude Code to check it for you. And then through an MCP route, like whatever, if said file isn't there, tell me which folders it is, it's not in, send a Teams into a specific channel, send an email, whatever that is, or draft an email for me. Now, if you think about that example, it's pretty straightforward. That's a pretty quick fix. Instead of her spending hours to do it, it'll probably take, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes max, 15. I'm not sure. The only thing is, there is no way any half competent IT SecOps team in a company like that would even remotely approve the ability to do that. Like, that is not, first of all, A, they would not allow you to install it in your terminal.
Mhm.
B, like, what is cursor? And then that, just that capability there, because I was telling her to do this. I was showing her, and I'd be like, and I'd be using Whisperflow at the same time. I'd be like, just
Mhm.
talking to it. So you have the talking and everything. And that was kind of neat to show. So there's that. But then all these things that you can start doing in businesses, it's very hard for them to catch up, because there's no way you can, the way that you've secured your systems, secured your data, is
Mhm.
very different than what, just that example there. And so the question is, how can IT, security, and so on, or any business deploy while keeping their, I guess, data and everything, their company safe, but at the same time, you'll be on the outside looking in at all the amazing things that you can do faster and faster and faster. It's just moving at a much faster clip than anything you've seen. And I was actually listening to this clip from somebody who does digital transformations on an enterprise level, like ERP level. And he mentioned, the gulf between just enterprises and using cloud, for example. So many businesses aren't using cloud it's still all local, there's still tons and tons of enterprises that are still on that, right? We've listened to some companies, and that's not even our topic. They're like, "Oh, we're still trying to get around cloud," and I was like, "Cloud? Well, like this is 2025. Like cloud was like, I was like, cloud was way back then." But you can see like that's some of the processes they go through. But cloud didn't move as fast as what we're seeing today. So how can companies even remotely catch up? And the big, I guess the focus is on the people. Can the people adjust and switch just as fast? Because if they can't, either that company continues doing whatever they're doing and kind of half-assed AI adoption, or they get raced by a full stack company and be like, that's
Right.
it. Don't need you because I have my army of Claude Code sub agents running around with now my OpenAI built agents, whatever it is, right? So yeah, I thought that was I'd love to know your thoughts and everyone else in joining us live today. Like, how can companies even compete? Or the legacy or traditional companies that continue to do that type of legacy operations, because you can't just say no, because if you say no, then you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage. But also, how protected are you too?
Yeah, I want to highlight that the recent analyses that have shown that companies are having difficulty actually getting in place productive pilots, much less production systems out there. It's not everybody. I mean, there's some really big AI transformations happening at the enterprise level, but for most smaller to medium-sized companies, there's a lot of reasons why it's not happening as fast as we would like. We'd like to see AI advantages be implemented broadly across the economy, so long as it's not so completely disruptive that it removes humans. But I think we're still many years away from that, though we'll start to see fewer and fewer entry-level jobs coming in. But the main reason in my own mind why those pilots aren't proceeding very effectively is, for example, the IT department will want to say, okay, well, you're gonna put some pilot programs using AI in here, and we want to support that, but we want you to pick something that's not that important, just in case the AI implementation, that pilot program, isn't all that it's cracked up to be. But that's inherently um, damaging to the probability that enough time and attention and permission is going to be applied to a non-critical workflow process to actually do a really effective AI implementation. So they're sort of hobbling the possibilities of a larger scale transformation in AI uh, because these internal organizational resistance, uh, you know, uh, or resistance forces are actually, delaying the full accomplishment of an AI transformation inside a business process.
Mm-hmm. So in a Salesforce environment, you'd create a sandbox and then test the snot out of what you built in the sandbox. And I'm wondering if that process needs to move outside of software development or like code changes, those sorts of things, because it does seem like you need people who are currently doing the work now, producing actual value for you in the old process. The company is going to need a way to move some of them into a test environment with this new process, or at least move into whether they're going to be engaging in the new process or supervising an agentic new process, something like that. You're going to need the people who are doing it to be able to inform the way the outcome, right? The success outcome, the way you do it now, whether you're still going to do it that way with an agent, with an agentic workflow, as Karl, you've talked about before, right? So like it's important to know what happens now so that we know well, it's important to understand all of the processes, but then it's important to work back from the desired outcome and see if there are efficiencies in there rather than just adding an automation at each human step, because that may not be the great the best design now with the capabilities now.
Yeah, and that's why for me it's always important that while you can start with that, to get your efficiency gains, get your productivity gains, get your proof of concepts, there has to be a goal beyond that. So, right, it's like, okay, so let's say you are successful in replacing tasks in a workflow with AI. Well, okay, so what? Like, okay, now you're more efficient, but there has to be like, okay, if you want a full business transformation to leverage AI, not just as a tool, but actually be AI centric or be AI first or whatever people call themselves, it's like, well, the only logical step would be to get rid of your processes or rebuild them to be AI centric first. So, how would you do that? How would you, because that to me is the only way you get the full maximum use of an AI, of your AI tools, instead of just haphazard bolting it on. Um, because it isn't your competitor who should be scaring you. It's gonna be that full stack AI company who doesn't need to do that, right? They don't need to do any of that change management. They don't need to do any of that sandbox. They don't need to do any of the bolting on to see if it works within their process or anything. They'll just be like, we have that advantage. We have the flexibility. We don't have, we've adopted to, we don't, we don't need your legacy process. So we're going to be already, everything that you're trying to do is already built in from the start. So we have that going for us. Whether they're successful or not, I don't know. But for them, they'll be like, well, we have agents doing that while a company's still trying to have half human, half AI trying to do that. You have a full agent executing that, and how all their business processes are all connected. Because I think that's the big piece too. If you've ever worked in a corporate, like a really big corporation, you'll see the process has evolved over time, and they've built process or workarounds or loopholes on top of the process to adopt either new tools or some person just wants to do it this way, or they want to be efficient, so they've kind of put an efficient process on top of a complex process. So it's like a web that's been building over time. Well, you don't have that with like a full stack. So that's to me the big differentiator. Like when we talked about clouds, like, oh, one company uses cloud, one is legacy. Yeah, you can compete, but when you have full stack versus not full stack, that's a harder competition. And this is where like your customer service really is the differentiator rather than a productivity and efficiency. But again, they don't have as many people, and they have agents running it for them. Yeah, just the overhead alone is putting you at a disadvantage.
Right. And the in a full stack competitor, if they have built from the ground up with AI, their customer service is 24 hours, right?
Mhm.
Like you're no longer on a human time clock in that way. Although if you're having human in the loop supervising that kind of stuff, now you're in a human timeline again. The thing that I was so Greg made a comment and said it's not AI centric, it's efficiency centric, and I see what he's saying. I see what you're saying. What I would say is that the results have to be the rule, right?
Mhm.
And there is a little cognitive dissonance that you're getting when you're asking people to change into something that is slightly more efficient or greatly more efficient,
Mhm.
because you have like this person has done that job for that way for the last 6 months, 3 years, 10 years. And
2 decades.
they,
2 decades, right? Yeah.
right?
2 decades. Yeah.
That mattered, right? Like they could not have done that without believing that that was something that mattered. And if you come in and go, hey, good news, it can
Yeah.
be done much easier in a way that just uses a couple clicks. There is a process that people go through because they justified that behavior to themselves. And that's a psychological concept. So it's a bigger leap to this is more efficient and move away from then why did I do that for nothing? Like how, right? Like how much more efficient could this process have been kind of thing. And that's not a conversation that most people are comfortable having. Like that's just not normal work process, I think.
Like Andy, in your time as CTO, C-suite, working through hundreds, probably thousands of processes, you probably have seen like so many people, comfortable or uncomfortable, but still doing the same, whatever that process was. Probably similar to the checking to the folder for that file. So one of the greatest things that we found in our business is not that you build all the N8N, make whatever automations, you can make it like one of ours was all you have to do is drag and drop. That's it. What you used to do was this. Now you just do this. But you come back like a month later, like, have you used it? No. 2 months later, no. Why? Just a litany of reasons why not. And it finally that was like, several months ago, they kind of just clicked on me. It's like, yeah, that is when people talk about change management, I used to think, oh, whatever. That's kind of like, why wouldn't you want to save 4 hours or 5 hours a week? But it's so much more because you're trying to break a behavior, a human behavior that someone is either trained professionally on, like went to school for, or the business has been training that type of work for so long. And you're just, like you're right, Beth, you're just going to ask to break it. That's the most difficult thing, unless somebody's like making you accountable to do it and to make that a habit versus the other thing. It's very, very hard.
So a comment on how my observation of how business processes evolve inside companies is, the old guard way was, we need to improve the efficiency of this department. So what do? Let's hire somebody who's done this better at another company and bring them in to run that department. And that is like this transfer of knowledge of maybe not so much more efficient processes, depending on how effective your poaching was of somebody who you think is going to come in and make a change that's going to be for the better. Now, there are other larger organizations that might actually use a systems analyst, was the term of the position that would have existed before, and they had a relationship to information systems, obviously, because those have been central to business processes for quite a long time now. Evolving technology, but there's a lot of inertia around whatever technology you've already installed, so long as it was functioning within the cost structures that allowed the company to make the necessary profit to keep going and attract investors and so on. But now what we're really trying to move toward is a totally new response away from the idea of hiring in an external expert to actually implement human recalled business process changes with an employee group that's already ingrained with an old one. And that change management is a tough one always, because everybody gets scared as soon as the new boss comes in and they know that things are going to change. So, maybe my job's not going to be important anymore. We need to shift entirely to an approach that uses the most advanced machine intelligence that we can to really do the job of the systems analyst, figure out what the business processes are, postulate a whole bunch of different alternatives to that, and basically take an AI first approach to, okay, how does this function, this department within this company, how does it look, out in the future when all of these things that we've identified could be automated using AI rather than with humans? How does that then change the view overall? And companies are just not in a position right now, either with time for attention to this matter, or with external resources that can come in. Even OpenAI has a team of people that they send into enterprises to conceive, along with the executive management there, what the AI future of that company should look like. But most companies, especially in the SMB range and scale, they don't have the time or attention to even consider those things. And so we're still kind of mired in the period of time when simple, repetitive tasks like the one you talked about in identifying whether files actually included an updated file or not, the file folders included those updated files or not, all of that's subject to some kind of automation, but there's not a real transformational change in the way that businesses are going to operate in the near term.
Not legacy businesses. Perhaps not legacy businesses, right? Because new businesses are being built every day.
But the last thing I want to say is it's not their fault either, because the processes and those things that have made businesses successful in the past, they kind of don't apply now. Many of the processes don't, but they were successful then. So it's like that. Not like it's Jennifer said, cultural shift, but we're talking about like the way, like an infrastructure shift too, and things like an annualized budget, an annualized RFP process. So all these different pieces that when somebody asks, or the businesses do or have built over time, if you have to break all those, it's like, I think the example I had was, one client called me like last week and said, hey, we're planning our AI or just our general spend for next year. Can you give me a list of AI tools that we should buy? And I'm like, I haven't even analyzed your discovery, so I wouldn't know. And I was like, hey, when do you need this by? It's like tomorrow. I was like, tomorrow. I was like, I don't know. So I was like, why don't you just go tool A, tool B, tool C, tool D, put some budget behind it, but don't say what the tool is, because you're probably going to change that tool in a couple of months too, specific in what you want to do. And for whatever, please do not buy. Don't fight your IT on this. This is the hill you die on. Do not get them to widespread Copilot and pay for it. Don't do that. If you need to, get small licenses, and only for like 4 or 5 months. Do not sign any multi-crazy contract that Microsoft will give you a deal on. Don't do that too. Fight that, because that you just, and in fact, it could be any tool. It could be ChatGPT for business too. We're not sure, but kind of limits you, because then you again, outside looking in, you're like, oh wow, that's a cool thing that helps our business specifically, but I can't do it because I've blown our annual budget and we can't change it until next year, and that's the end of that.
Right. The things that seemed like the better option previously are the exact opposite, because this is moving so quickly. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to switch us to a quick tool share, or it's actually kind of a prompt share. One of the things that OpenAI released yesterday was also the Sora 2 API, and it's and a prompting guide. So I saw the prompting guide today. Let me go ahead and share my info. I saw the prompting guide today, but I had done a couple of these a couple of these examples before I saw that. So we're just going to look at 3 different videos made in the last one is according to the prompting guide. Okay, let me share. What do you think? Year 4, I'll be able to share something without having to narrate it as I'm doing it. All right.
I do,
So this.
Sure. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Once you share that prompting guide from OpenAI, I'm kind of wary of their prompting guides, because I think when you saw their other prompting guide, you're like, no one, you're like, that's terrible prompting guide. But
right.
There is another link. I don't know if is this from a
so
like an
this
OpenAI
is
creator or somebody else.
This is from Peric Chevalier, and I follow him because he does image stuff. And so this is a very simple prompt. It comes from a well-made image, right? Make a professional ad for, and then the project. So that is what you're looking at. Are you looking at it? I hope that's what I'm sharing. Good. Okay. So there's a Nike shoe that is an ad, and then it becomes a video ad, and these have audio as well. And I will let's go
Deep
ahead.
vanilla, bold spice, a finish that refuses to let go. Unleash the depths, the Kraken Black Spice.
The Gorilla Cycles Urban Cruiser, crafted for the city, built with soul. A powerful electric drive takes you up to 100 kilometers on a single charge at a smooth 45 per hour, while the class.
Okay, so that was my inspiration. I then went to Sora, and let's actually go to my videos. Yeah, boy, I should have paid attention to this. Okay, this is how that started. So the reason that it was a clock is because I had a image of this frog that I created in Midjourney, and it had a time on it, so it automatically made the clock. The next one,
Beth, we're still looking at the bike.
Oh, you're still seeing. Yes, here we go. Okay. Let me share this tab instead. Here we go. So the time was 9:51. I had this knit frog image, and
clock, a gentle blend of handmade charm and smart technology. Touch the soft knit to snooze, set alarms, or check your schedule, all while adding a little calm to your. Meet the knit frog.
And you can see the prompt that I used for that was make a professional ad for this product.
Yeah.
Okay. So
then
wait.
Sorry, go ahead.
The knit
Sorry.
On a log.
So
the frog on a log.
I gave more information on this prompt. Make a professional ad for frog on a log in the tradition of mensch on a bench. So this is frog on a log.
A new holiday tradition that brings good luck to the pond or to your home.
Yes, it is.
Each set includes the knit log and a charming storybook. Meet the frog on a log, a new holiday tradition that brings good luck to the pond or to your home. Each set includes the knit log and a charming storybook.
So that's kind of akin to something that OpenAI dropped yesterday also, was creating Sora product videos from they use a sketch. All right, so this one has not been posted yet. So let's, and this was made with, where is that? Share this tab instead. There is, this was part of the framework from using their instructions on how to prompt Sora. So scene, pose, etc. I just dropped it into ChatGPT. I said, make a professional ad frog on a log using that framework. So that is this video, and we are seeing it together because I have not looked at it yet. Wait.
File. Time.
All right. Apparently I have to have the cursor over.
Style. One stitch at a time. Style. One stitch at a time.
Frog on a log, comfort, character, craft. All right. That's what I got. I do think that we are seeing the next series of communicating about products in a way that are interesting. So, thoughts? It's definitely a Beth. It's got a little Beth weirdness, right? Because yep, that's me making knit frogs in in Midjourney.
I tried, you know, when you do your cameos or any kind of video like that, you can actually dictate its you can dictate its the audio. Like, I mean,
Yes.
if you want it to, like, the specific wording you want. So it's like I tried ones like on October 1st, on Wednesday, October, whenever, at this time, and it'll say it, which is kind of neat. I saw another one where you start with Nano Banana, you take an image, you put, like, you know, your end scene, your, you know, whatever you like of your product and start, and then animate it through Sora, and it's so good at it. So it's a nice combination of things that you can do now with, like, different tools. It's I thought that was just neat. And, like, we have so many, like, creative tools at our disposal, but most people just don't know about it because they're being released at, like, Pika released something yesterday. I quickly saw it. I don't know what it is, but it was exciting for them, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And I was there's too much now, and I'm like, Pika, I don't even want to, like, know. But I know Higgsfield will probably have it sometime soon.
Yes, Shakesfield has Sora 2 without the watermark.
Which is crazy.
So tomorrow, my hot topic, or Thursday, my hot topic question is going to be about what have we unleashed, and what are some of the consequences about that. But Andy, you look like you have a comment. Nope, you're talking to your phone. Got it. That just rang on the show, right? Okay. So thank you. I think do we have final wrap up? Final comments? No. Okay. Thank everybody for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. This is our new format. We will start with news. We'll have a question we debate, and then we'll share a use case. There will be a bunch of other things that get rolled in. That may be what you see this week, but we are excited about bringing the fresh take to you and sharing your fresh takes with us. You can join us in the Slack, which is at thedailyAIShowcommunity.com. You can go to our website, such as it is, for thedailyAIShow.com and sign up for our newsletter, which comes out on Sunday. Thanks for being such a great audience, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.